Good morning, everybody. Thanks for joining us. We had a lot of talk yesterday about infrastructure, interfaces, and only touched briefly on devices. So we're going to deep dive today and what Deutsche Telekom is doing on set-top boxes, apps, operator-driven smart TVs. Mike, give us a bit of info about yourself, Deutsche Telekom, the footprint. Where are we? What are we talking about?
Yeah, sure. So my name is Mike Echternach. I'm working in Deutsche Telekom Group in the headquarters, and I'm responsible for our global product roadmap when it comes to TV. What does TV stand for in our area? We operate in 10 markets in Europe, and we come from a time where every market used to have their own TV product. This has changed some years back, and we're on a journey to a global product, basically built in a central stage and then rolled out in all the markets. We are not fully at 10 markets yet with what I'm covering, but we're at 7 markets, and we're hopefully closing the gap to the 10 markets rather soon. And yeah, my main role is I'm responsible for the roadmap, basically how we develop the product on the front end, and also decide on which other touch points we want to go apart from the set-top box where we are in from the start.
Perfect, thank you. And a few words about myself, A Waltenspiel. I'm connecting the dots. That means working with operators and vendors. I have been working at a set-top box vendor myself. I've been running BizDev for Samsung until they decided to shut it down. So it's a painful business for those who are in hardware. I feel sorry for you. No. So, Mike, if I want to become a Magenta subscriber in any of the countries, how do I do that? Which device do I probably get, and what are the options I have?
So as I think every operator, we obviously have a set-top box in all the markets. This is also still our main client where we have the most usage and where most of the customers are heading to.
Can you give a percentage, roughly?
I would still say it's way above 80.
Okay.
So it's still a very, very strong tool for us. On the device front there, we took some measures in the past, so we don't only have one standard box. We also have a, let's say, value device, which is a little bit cheaper, just a TV stick that you can plug in, okay. Which is also running very well. So basically just kind of like 2 models outside, and we work with multiple suppliers to basically also reduce our risk and not be so dependent in case we have an issue with one of the suppliers. So this is part of our strategy when it comes to the owned devices. And then you were asking about the other touch points. So by now we're on Smart TV sets, on Tyson, on LG WebOS, and also recently on Hisense TVs. We have an Android TV standalone application, obviously, because also our set-top box is on Android OS. These are basically the Smart TV platforms we cover. We have mobile apps for Android and iOS, and we have a web client.
Okay. So more than 80% on your managed devices. In the future, do you think that's gonna stay the same? And then we get into the details, or how do you see that evolving?
I think for the short to midterm future, it will pretty much stay the same. And why is that? Because I mean, we're a telco operator, and our main business is like selling fixed line or mobile contracts, and then TV is basically an upsell tool. So when we have a customer who's basically booking a tariff, it's also for our salespeople rather easy to sell this like TV and entertainment use case. And the set-top box is the only device at the moment where we can fully control the experience, and this is why it's always like the prime point. Yeah, I think that's...
Okay, so I mean, we hear since many years the set-top box is dead. Since 20 years, that's what I hear. It's not dead, we discussed it yesterday. It's actually super important. What can a managed device, and let's do the stick as well, what can it give you that an app cannot give you?
Yeah, so to the statement of set-top box is dead, I think to be fair, there are like 2 points of view that you need to take. From an operator like us, it's not dead, and we love the set-top box because you can connect it to any TV set out there, and the full experience is there. When you come from the user, it might be different. Like when we see also our consumer structure right now, it's like more the families and the guys that basically are used to having the set-top box. But when you look into younger segments,
Gen Z,
exactly, they're asking like, okay, why do I need an additional device? And there is where I think you need to find a solution in the long term.
Yeah. So is it that, is it not? But what does it really, what's the benefits a box gives you that you cannot have on just an app?
Yeah, well, in one short word, it would be control. Because on the set-top box, whether it's the stick or the more performant device, we basically control everything. We control the user experience. We can offer journeys across different streaming partners, whether it's deep linking, whether it's partner overarching, continue watching functions and things like that, overarching search. All of this, like basically, we're able to do as long as we control it. When you look on other devices, we lose the control because there's either like a smart TV operator who's controlling the space and trying to see himself in this role of the aggregator. So it's this continuous fight about who becomes the super aggregator.
Yes.
But also there are like more simple things. Like for example, when you look on mobile applications, what we do on the set-top box and also on the web, we also sell VOD as rental or movies that you can basically own. We don't do this on mobile. We could do it, but it doesn't make sense from a commercial point of view because we get like, I don't know, 7 to 9% rev share from the content distributors, and we need to give 15 to 30% to Google and Apple, and I mean it's a numbers game, so it doesn't make sense to offer it there.
Let's talk about the numbers games on set-top boxes. So if you measure customer lifetime value and not just think in quarters, then can you compare both set-top box app, same package, same demography? Can you give an indication, not an exact number, I know that's difficult, on how much would that be? Let's say, let's ask Steve, you keep your number. What do you think? So total customer lifetime value, the difference, customer on a set-top box, customer on an app. Will that be more, just raise your hands. Who thinks it's more than 500 euros? 1, 2, 3. Who thinks it's more than 1,000 euros? I unexpectedly go in the wrong direction, right? Who thinks it's more than 2,000 euros? Okay, so from the discussions I have with operators, but I'll let you speak first. So what do you think? Where could it be without revealing an exact number?
Yeah, so obviously I cannot give an exact number, but there is for sure value, and there's like significant value. That's also why we like continue to push this kind of device. I mean, we could also go on an app-only strategy if there would be. I'm a little bit surprised that no one raised their hands. Maybe everyone was like just like holding back.
Yeah. So the indications I get from talking to operators who have set the box and have measured, it's rather on the higher end. And if that's the case, I don't understand the questions about why is the set-top box there. Maybe that's a narrative pushed by the people who want it to be that. But if I make, let's say, 1,000, 2,000 euro lifetime value difference in having a set-top box versus an app, it's an absolute no-brainer. Even if we're talking about a memory crisis. Let's go there. DRAM crisis, or Dramageddon, as I heard yesterday. Tell us, what's happening in the device and hardware space these days?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I will start from the scratch because I'm not sure if everyone is in the details of this. So basically, the narrative starts with AI. Like everyone is hyping on AI. There are AI factories being built. There's a need for chips. And basically the chips that are needed, memory for AI, are not the like classical DDR4 ones that we use for set-top box or other standard devices. They're like DDR5, like the next category. They can do more. They are more powerful. And what has happened basically that in the past on the DDR4 market, there were like three main producers for it. It's Samsung, SK Hynix, and Micron. And together those three produced like 90% of the global market of those kind of chips. And what has happened, all of those three basically at the same time decided, okay, we will no longer produce DDR4 because there's such a big hype for DDR5. So basically they're using their facilities to produce the new end of chips, which results in a absolute global supply shortage on this kind of chips that are needed for like building new set-top boxes.
So it's not a supply shortage only, it's also a crazy price increase. Some parts have increased 4x, 5x. Specific chips even went from 4 to 80 euros, so it's a 20x, very specific stuff. So I guess it's painful, and procurement and some of the telcos are in panic. What do you do? How do you mitigate that?
Yeah.
And how long do you think it will last?
So I don't think that we have a final solution that basically cures everything for us, because if I would have that, probably I could sell it for I don't know how much.
Yes.
The benefit that we have as Deutsche Telekom Group, and also that we basically buy this kind of device together, is the scale. So with the scale and basically the demand that we have, we can also like convince vendors that basically we can, at least for a short term, like ensure the supply of boxes. Obviously, costs get higher for us for the chips, and therefore also for the box as such in the procurement process. And you need to think about how do I deal with this cost, because the consumer, he will not pay extra for the box. If you pay a box that normally was in a one-time price at 90 euros, and you try to give this extra chip price to the consumer, he will most likely not get it, not buy it. So what kind of mitigation can you take? First of all, we want to offer a TV product, and even though we don't have the full control, like our focus on smart TV apps has become way bigger due to this situation. Yeah. We're trying to mitigate the crisis, either via like the instant demand that we're raising and trying to ensure, but also the way that the prices are changing. It is not stable at all. So what has happened at the beginning, the DDR4 cost like went skyrocketed, as you said, 20x in some cases. The thought that we had is like, okay, maybe we just also buy the DDR5. It's too powerful for a set-top box. Nonsense. It's a waste of performance in the box, but could make sense. They were like even cheaper than the previous generation. What has happened now recently, also the DDR5 price went up. So basically this is not really a solution. So you need to think about alternative solutions. And besides mitigation, we don't have a full clue to this. And you
maybe a bit of refurbishment?
Bit of refurbishment is something, yes, of course, that's also a measure that we took, but also you need to see that we also have some like legacy boxes on old systems that it's not possible for us to maintain them or basically upgrade them over the air. So this is another challenge that comes in. And you were asking also about the timeline, how long I think this crisis will go on. I don't have a final answer, but I think it's not short term, so I think it will go at least for the next 2 years. Yeah.
So that's also something I hear at Mobile World Congress. Was also a big topic. It not only on set-top boxes, also if you buy server racks, Dell gives you a price that's valid for 1 week. And the prices have gone from 40K to 100K, and set-top boxes is going up. So one of the indications I got, it's supply will maybe get better mid-27, pricing hopefully will come down 2030, maybe. Let's see. Good luck. But I mean, we're also going to talk about, let's leave the set-top box aside, I mean, about TVs. So you are actively looking at how do you control a TV interface. So operator-controlled smart TVs. So what would that be, and how would it work and be different from I'm just an app on a smart TV?
Yep. Again, we're at a point of control, because right now on the smart TV, if you're just an app among apps, you're there. First of all, the customer needs to discover you. The smart TV operators are asking for a lot of money for those kind of placement deals, and even if you pay this money, you're still behind like the global deals like Netflix and so on. We started a partnership with VidaOS and Hisense as the TV brand, basically to be like the first like real operating app on their devices in our market. I think it's a joint partnership that will help both of us. Like, why is it interesting for Hisense? They're trying to scale their business. I mean, Chinese brands always have it quite difficult in the European markets these days. They're like a World Cup sponsor right now, so they're basically pushing. They're attacking LG on various markets for the second position of smart TV operators.
And you have the World Cup also on your Magenta TV offer, right?
Exactly. I would have come to this point. Exactly. On our side now, the World Cup is something really important. We have exclusive rights in at least 3 markets. Croatia that is attending, Germany as our biggest market, and Austria as well. So all these countries are there. We have the right. So we also think that this is a major thing for us.
Absolutely.
When it comes to this operator tier model, obviously our end goal is to basically have the same control on the smart TV device that we have on the set-top box. And with that move, we could basically get rid of this extra piece of hardware.
Yep.
Will it replace the necessity for a set-top box in the short term? I don't think so.
No.
Because the set-top box, you can basically connect it to every TV. And Hisense Vida TVs, they have a share between like, I don't know, 20 at the best in Croatia and going to the 5% in some markets. So it's also, let's say, a big test balloon to see also how customer perceive this. And
so how would it, very briefly, not too technically, so I go to the shop, I buy that in the retail, I go to a media market or wherever retail outlet, or can I buy it from Deutsche Telekom, and how do I get that experience? Is it pre-installed? Do I need to download? How does it work?
So you can buy it, basically the Hisense TVs everywhere. You will also be able to buy them in our shops. In some markets it's a little bit easier, like for example in Hungary where we basically do TV set sales for a long time. In Germany this is something that we did not do in the past, so it's a new thing. And yeah, the experience is basically, I'm not sure if someone has an Apple TV Plus box where there's this partnership as well, where you can basically become like the Prime app, and you can just very simply set, you boot the TV and then you can choose, I either want the Hisense experience or I'm a Magenta TV customer, and the set-top box-like experience.
Does it automatically recognize I'm on a Deutsche Telekom network and then suggests that?
Yes. When you are also a fixed line customer, we have line identification logic behind this, so that would be the perfect user experience.
Okay, and that means when I press the home button, I go to a Magenta home, not the Hisense home.
Correct.
Okay. So, what's in for the CTV manufacturer? Because normally they make very little margin on hardware, right? So they make, everybody has understood the money is in the service. So if you take over the UI and everything, how can they monetize it? So what are the models you're exploring?
Now I need to be careful because I'm later on as well, and I also will speak about this. Good. But in essence, basically, why several of the operating systems are talking to us is basically because they want to win scale. Obviously, if you talk like to the leader in the market, Samsung, they see themselves also as a platform, and they basically want to monetize apart from the devices. Hisense and so on, they're not at this point there that they have this scale that's like, okay, we're okay. They just want to basically brighten this. And therefore, we as Deutsche Telekom are a very trusted brand in Europe with a premium standard. And so we can basically leverage and help them grow their market share. For this, obviously, they will not have the full revenue. It's a kind of complex model at the end when it comes to advertising and everything. But in the best case, it's a win-win for both.
Okay, good. And you expect further ones to follow, I assume?
Yes, I do. In fact, we basically were talking to multiple smart TV operators, and we made the decision for Hisense to start with. We at least had one more to do it. We decided, because it's also a big bet, we don't know how the customers will perceive it. Will they even like activate a Magenta experience on the smart TV screen, or are they just, okay, what is this? I want to stay to the standard that everyone has, so we will need to see this. Also balance on the priorities of our overall development roadmap. But if we see that this is going successfully with the first partner, then the next ones will follow.
Perfect. And you have another session coming up where you dive deeper together with HT Plus and a few others, I think, who have also some experience in doing that already. Okay, so, by the way, how do you watch Magenta TV? What's the device mix you're using?
Well, it's not a fair question because obviously I can get the box without costs. But
do you think it would change anything if you had to pay?
To be honest, yes, because I'm already in this generation that grew up with smart TVs, and like in our bedroom we have a smart TV, and I use the app-only experience.
Okay.
In the living room we have the set-top box, and we're making use of the functions that we can do there. But yeah, I mean, also app-only is something that I think is quite common these days.
So you have the direct experience. Maybe we should ask about your partner. What's the feedback? Is there a big difference between, oh, I can't do that here, I can only do in the set-top box? Do you feel that? Is it tough? Is it something that really annoys you in the day-to-day experience?
Yeah, it's difficult when you really want to go big into super aggregation. You also need something from the partners, like try to get metadata from Netflix. It's not the easiest conversation to have with them, but you would need to have access to all of this data, and of course they are building also their own environments. I mean, Netflix is so big, why do they need to be super aggregated? There's so much content, like even with a Netflix hour you can probably like fill the whole of your time. So it is not easy, and we'll see how it goes.
So, last question before we run out of time. We're here in 5 years, again, how will the mix of devices look like?
So in 5 years, positive scenario, this test balloon with Hisense goes very well. And then in 5 years, we have the same model in place with 3 operating systems.
Great. Thank you very much, Mike, for being here. Thanks you for being here.
Thank you.